month, sitting in favor. Look at your neighbor and say, you are sitting in favor. Come on, look at him and say, you are sitting in favor. So today I want to talk about wait on it. Look at your neighbor and say, wait on it. This is the part, pay attention, this is the part that none of us like. None of us like to wait. That's why microwaves are so popular. That's why every new iPhone that comes out, we upgrade. Because we want the fastest, the newest, the quickest. Nobody has dial-up internet anymore. Because none of us like to wait. They invented drive-thrus because y'all didn't want to get out the car and wait in line. You go to the grocery store and you'll go down every aisle to check to see where's the shortest line. The truth of the matter is we drive up to some places that we see, and if the line is too long, because none of us like to wait. Truth of the matter, church has gotten shorter. Because none of us like to wait. But the Hebrew writer, as I've been talking in Hebrews 10, if you missed Thursday's midweek service, you missed a great message. I've been talking about Hebrews. The writer knew this, so he highly suggested that we look into the Hall of Fame for faith waiters. You do know what a faith waiter is. It is those who wait on God and receive the favor of God. Nobody likes to wait, but waiting is just a part of the process. And I do want you to know that God has not changed his formula to bless you. You got to stand in grace. You got to walk through faith so that you can sit in favor. You don't stand in grace and jump over to favor. There is a waiting process. Look at your neighbor and say, we're all in the waiting process. So hang with me. I want to teach you something today. I hope this is going to bless you. Go with me to James, the 1st chapter, 2nd verse, and I'm going to be reading out of the New Living Translation because I'm talking about wait on it, but before I get to Hebrews, I want to drop this on you because I know you all know this if you've been in church any length of time, but for my younger people who I can help, because some of our older saints have just decided that, your waiting time has been too long and you just decided to quit. But I want to talk to my young people that don't know the process. But listen what it says. My brethren, is it up there? Count it all joy. Everybody say, count it all joy. Lydia made a very good statement. It's not joy to get the news, but you got to learn how to count it all joy. You got to learn how to have joy in it. Ooh, that's good. Look at your neighbor and say, learn how to have joy in it. Ooh, this is the only thought that came to me. I have a grandbaby that, y'all know my new grandbaby, Junior. Y'all know I'm loving on him now. Josh is gone. He out the way. Get out of the way, Josh. So I got Junior now. Junior, I absolutely adore because he is showing out to be the best baby of them all. He doesn't cry. He doesn't whimper. You say it's time to go to bed. He lay right beside you and he gone for the entire night. I wake up before him and I have to wake him up. He's, but there's something about Junior that I don't like. Is that this the only thing I can think of when he has to go to the restroom. And I told my wife that I don't want to keep babies until they're potty trained because I don't like changing diapers. I despise it. I really does. But when he has to go and finish and I get ready to change him, he looks and he smiles at me. And he tells me, I know you don't like to do it, but count it all joy. Do you get what I'm saying? There's some things in your life you despise. There's some things that you don't like. But if you change your attitude towards it, you can get through it even though you don't like it. So when he comes and he start grinning, I count it all joy. It's a part of it. If I'm going to keep him, if I'm going to have fun with him, if I'm going to love on him, if I'm going to have joy, this is a part of the joy that I'm trying to get to. Did that make sense? My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into some stuff. Knowing this, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Can I tell you, when I first started, it was hard, but as much as he smiled, it gets easier and easier and easier to the degree it doesn't bother me as much. Didn't say it didn't bother, it bothers me. But it doesn't bother me as much because I know it won't last always. So count it all joy when you fall into, various trials, knowing that the testing of your, faith does what? When you are being tested, God is working on your patience. Let me make something very clear about this. Let me think, because so that you could fully get, I'm going to run through this quick. I'm going to keep it long. Grace, standing in grace, walking through faith for the favor of God. I asked you the other day, and this is the teaching moment of you speak what it is that you want God to do in your life. Y'all remember that? Many of you all spoke out your dreams, your visions, and you're supposed to declare those things. You're supposed to speak those things. And I don't know what you asked God for, but if I know some of you all wanted $1 million. Some of you all wanted more finances. Some of you all wanted a bigger house. Some of you, I don't know what you wanted, but some of you all wanted greater things. But the greater things that you want, the question is, are you ready for them? You can get $1 million, but if you got $1,000 mentality, the million won't do you much good. So what God does is he allows you to ask for what you want. But then he takes you through the process of getting you ready to receive that which you asked for. That's the patience and the trials of your faith working for you. Did that make sense? All right, so hang with me. I'm going somewhere. But let patience have its perfect work, verse 4, that ye may be perfect and complete, And what will happen when patience, when you go through it, when you get through it, when your faith is tested, you will be what? Lacking. If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let, verse 6, come on, but let him ask, there it is, with no, for he who doubts is like a wave or the sea driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive from the, for a double-minded man in all his ways. So here's what he's saying. He's saying you're standing in grace. Ask for what you want by standing in faith. But when trials hit you, and they will, don't lose your faith or you'll never be able to receive the favor of God. Okay? Listen to what I said. Ask in grace, stand in faith. What happens in faith? Come on, y'all call it somebody. You're going to have to go what? You got to go through. You got to go through some testing. You got to go through some testing. And most of us feel that when we're going through testing, that favor is not over our lives, and that's not true. Because we lose our faith, then we walk out from under favor and start doing things our way. Because things are not working out the way we think they ought to work out, when all you have to do is wait. Wait on God. Wait. God is not short concerning his promises. If you are going through some trouble in your life right now and things are not going the way you think they ought to go, here is the solution. Rejoice, because God is working on your patience. God has not, and I only got a couple claps. That's all right. Some of y'all might be going through. God is not forsaking what you ask him for. He is working on you to handle what you ask him for. All right? Let me see. I have another grandbaby, Josiah. Y'all know him. Josiah wanted me to take him to the basketball game to see the Cavaliers, and I took him with me. Y'all saw him. And we went up to the basketball game, paid the fee. He's eating the food, and he's sitting down, and because he forgot his glasses, he don't see nothing. I spent all this money for you to come see all this game, and you don't know a player on the court. You know why he didn't bring his glasses? He wasn't ready. Got the blessing, but wasn't ready to receive it. Immature. See, if it was me, I knew I couldn't see. I would have my glasses on all time. He doesn't seem to think he needs them. And so I can only bless him of his ability to handle it. And if I bless him beyond his ability, I'm wasting my money. And see, that's what happens with you and I. You're waiting on God to do these great things when God is telling you to prepare to receive these great things. Stop asking God for more than you're willing to sacrifice and prepare for. God, give me a better job. Go back to school. You got to prepare for the next level that God's going to take you. Other than that, you'll get a blessing without glasses. Can see it, but can't see it. And it's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. My prayer is, God, if any man, see, this is why James says, the problem is the wisdom that you need to receive what you ask for. So my prayer is always, God, give me wisdom. Because something I'm missing. It ain't them, it's me. What wisdom do I need that I am missing? Because you've given me a blessing, but maybe I don't have my glasses on. And so James says, here's what James says, don't drop the faith, because you will drop the faith thinking that God didn't grant you the blessing. It would be crazy for JoJo to have walked out of the arena to say, you didn't pay for it because I can't see. No, I paid for it. You wasn't prepared. Am I making sense? And sometimes when we're pushing for the next level in our life, it's not that God won't bless, it's just that we don't prepare for the next blessing. All right. Look at your neighbor, say, stand in faith. So while you're in faith and while you're going through these trials, what is he doing? He is teaching you, maturing you, and so JoJo had to watch the whole game without glasses. So the next game we go to, I hope he have his glasses. I hope that taught him to be prepared for the next, because we may be sitting way up in the nosebleed. And he really will need those glasses. And you see, I don't have to punish him. The not seeing was punishment enough. All I have to do is provide another opportunity to see if he growed. And if he didn't grow, we won't spend money on the big games. We'll just go to the high school games until I see he can bring his glasses to the high school games. And maybe some of our blessings have just been high school blessings because we are not ready for the pros yet. Preach, Pastor. I'm preaching to me too. I'm preaching to me. I see when God talked, he talked to me too. Give me wisdom, Lord. Give me wisdom. So let's jump to Hebrews 12, and I'm cutting across the fields. Hebrews 12:1. Somebody say, wait on it. And the baby said, amen. Hey, wait on it. All right. Hebrews 1 says, therefore, we are Hebrews 1? 12:1, I'm sorry. Hebrews 12:1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge cloud of witnesses of the life of faith, he says, if I had time, I don't have time, but if I had time, I would call up about all of our elders and ministers and says, if you look at the elders and ministers, you ought to be able to look at our lives and be able to pattern your life after our lives. He's saying, since you have such cloud of witnesses in Hebrews 11, if you was here when I preached on Hebrews 11, he talked about Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Sarah. He goes down this list of people. He says, take a look at Moses, Noah, all of these people, and take a look at their lives. He says, pattern, in other words, he says, pattern your life after their life if you want to get their results. He says, therefore, since we have been surrounded by such greater cloud of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. Now, for the sake of me teaching, and I don't have time to go through it, I'm going to just give you what the sin is. The sin is not fornication, adultery, and all of that. That's not the sin. The sin he's talking about here is the sin of unbelief. Okay, it's the sin of unbelief. He said the sin that so easily trips you up is the sin for you to get out of faith. The sin that trips you up is the sin that causes you to disbelieve God. He says the weights are the people that you listen to tell you not to believe in, or the circumstances in your life that causes you to outweigh your faith to the circumstances that you see. He says, I can prove it to you, but I just don't have. He says, and watch this. He says, and let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us, watch this, run with endurance, or the King James Version says, with patience. Watch this, the race God has set before us, or before you. Meaning that what God has set before you, you got to get in the zone with God and walk through that in the temple that he's given it to you. You cannot look at other people's blessings and measure your faith based upon what other people are doing. Well, my girlfriend has a condo and a brand new car, and it looked like I ought to have a condo and a brand new car. You don't know what your girlfriend doing to get a car and a brand. Don't measure yourself by somebody else's. You got to run the race that is set before you. And you got to run it with patience. You got to remember, you got to stand in the faith of God. You got to remember, the higher the building, the deeper the foundation. And just because somebody's building is going up higher, it may only be going to the 5th floor. God may be taking your building to the 20th floor. So while theirs is at the 5th, you still may be digging down to the foundation. Run the race God has given you. And stop looking at other folks. He says, and let us run this endurance, the race God has set before us. Now, how do we do this? He said, we do this. He said, how do we do this? You may want to write this down, because I'm out of here right here. I'm going to give you the tips of how to do this. How to run this race with patience. I'm going to give it to you. Leon's writing it down. Are you texting somebody? Yeah, I know he keeps good notes. He keeps the good notes. Write this down. I promise you, when you're going through trouble, go back to these notes. Write the date down. When you're having trouble, I'm going to tell you, this is going to pull you through to sit in favor, which you're sitting in favor all the time, but it's going to make you know that you're sitting in favor. How do we do this? Verse 2. We do this by, number 1, keeping our eyes on Jesus. That's the number 1 thing you got to do, is you got to keep your eyes on Jesus. Don't look at folks. Don't look at what your bank account says. Don't look at what the bills say. Keep your eyes focused on Jesus. That's the first step. Keep your eyes. Don't you let people pull you out of church because they don't like you or you think they don't care nothing about you. You better keep your eyes on on, does he love you? He says if he loves you, he's more than the whole world against you. So if everybody in here dislike you, so what? Jesus liked me. Keep my eyes on Jesus. He said that's the first thing you got to do. Keep your eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfect our faith. How did he perfect our faith? By standing us in grace through the blood of Jesus Christ. Our faith, look at your neighbor and say, our faith has been perfected through the blood of Jesus Christ. Now watch this. Here's point 2. He kept his eyes. You got to keep your eyes on Jesus. Point 2, because of the joy awaiting him, he endured the cross. Very, very important thing. You got to put something on your refrigerator, in your book, in your mind that gives you your promise, even though you haven't obtained it yet. So every time you get discouraged, you look at the promise. Keep your eyes on Jesus, and you will endure whatever cross you're going through for the joy that is set before you. Did y'all catch that? You got to write down your vision or write down what it is that you're expecting God to do and plaster it where you can see it every day. Don't put it in your mind. You put it in your mind, you're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to accomplish it. You got to write it down and put it on something you can see it on a daily basis. What is it that you have asked God to do in your life? If you don't have anything written down, what did it say? I ought to slap you. But that would be nice. Kathy's here. Kathy, I got to be nice about Kathy. Yes. How many of y'all need something from the Lord? Write that sucker down and put it on your mirror. Why? 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 Because when trouble come and knock you down, you're able to look back at what he promised, keeping your eyes on him, and say, I can take that punch. I'm going to keep on running. But if you don't have nothing to remind you, you don't have anything to remind you. Well, the scripture tells you. He says, because of the joy that is awaiting him, the thing that you have awaiting you, you endure the cross. Watch this. Disregarding, or the King James says, despising the shame. Now, because God did this, or Jesus did this, he is seated in the place of favor. Did you catch it? He kept his eyes on Jesus. He kept in front of him the joy that was set before him. So when he hung on the cross, although they were spitting on him, although they were talking, y'all do know what the joy that was set before him, don't you? Was you. Were you and I. It was sending us through the grace of God. He says, I ain't going to let them turkeys talk me off the cross because I want to make sure I make you holy. So for the joy that's set before him, he endured the shame to get to sit in the seat of honor. Now watch this. Watch this. I'm almost through, I promise you. Think of all the hostility. Now this is what he's saying. Based on what I just wrote. There was 3 things I told you to write down, right? Hello? You got them? All right. Think of the now he says, now when the problem comes in your life, and they're going to come. Some of y'all going through some problems right now. Slip your hands up real quick if you got a little turbulence in your life. All right, come on, I throw my hands up too. All right, we got a little turbulence. He says, now while you're going through this turbulence, pay attention. While you're going through this turbulence, verse 3, think of the hostility Jesus endured from crazy people. He says, while you're going through your hostility, pour Hall of Famer out of the Hall of Fame because you placed your eyes on him, and think about what he went through versus what you're going through. And if you compare it, what you're going through is so small to what he went through. He says, and if you keep him at the forefront of your mind, that you went through bankruptcy, but he gave his life. You went through a divorce, but he gave his life. So whatever it is that you're going through, keep your eyes on him and say, I didn't have to go through that. So if he went through that, I can get through this. I got one clap on it. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, he says, think of all the hostility he endured from sinful people, and guess what will happen? Then you won't become weary and do what? And you won't forfeit your seat of favor. And he says this, Hebrew writer really stick this in and said, after all, you haven't gave up your life in the struggle against sin. So what you belly aching about? That's basically what he said. Basically what he's saying is, what you tripping about? Keep your eyes on him. I'm talking about while we're standing in faith here. Keep your eyes on him. Keep the joy and promise plastered on your refrigerator, your mirror, your whatever. You got to. So when troubles come, say, I'm getting to that, and that is more important than the trouble that I'm going through. So I'm going to hold on to faith, and I'm going to get to the promise that he promised me. I end with this, play softly, Hebrews 10:23. So let us hold tight without wavering to the hope we affirm. For God can be what? To do what? Go down to 35. Is it 35 up? 35. 35 up. So don't, come on, read it with me. So don't throw away trust. Remember. Verse 36. Patience in 36. Come on, 36 up. Walk with me, y'all. Patience, endurance is what you need. Now, he said that's all you need is patience. Y'all gonna come to 36? Oh, we on 36? All right. Come on, say. Read it with me. Patience, endurance is what? That's all you, listen, that's all you need now is patience and endurance. Watch this. Come on, I'm through. Stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. Stand to your feet. I'm through. Patience and endurance is what you need now so that you will continue to do God's will. If you was here Thursday night, you know what that means. Then you will receive. Come on. Then you will receive. Then you will receive. Then you will receive. Then you will receive that he has promised. What do you need God to do in your life? Speak it. Stand in faith. Wait for it. And God said you will receive all that he has promised. People of God, can I say this last thing to you? This is about my fourth close. Ooh. Just because it's God doesn't mean it's easy. Because you're sitting in the seat of favor doesn't mean that you're not going to have to go through some trouble in your life. Don't allow the trouble to move you out of faith. Keep the prize in front of you. endure the cross, despise the shame for the joy that is set before you.